Relinquishing power may not be easy, but in Gambian President Yaya Jammeh's mind, it's not even an option anymore. One of Africa's longest-serving presidents was defeated this month to opposition leader Adama Barrow in nationwide elections. He initially accepted the results, but then had a change of heart. Despite mounting pressure from West African leaders, he insists no one can deprive him of the presidency. Christine Pirovalakis explains.
He once vowed to rule for 1 billion years. But Gambia's President Yaya Jammeh unexpectedly lost an election earlier this month. He initially accepted defeat after losing to opposition leader Adama Barrow and promised to step down after 22 years in power. Jammeh has been blamed for a failing economy, and his defeat sparked celebrations across the country. But now he refuses to accept the outcome.
I hereby announce to you, Gambians, my total rejection of the electoral results and thereby annulling the elections in its entirety. And until we will go back to the polls.
Gambians hoped West Africa's heads of state would be able to persuade their president to step down, but they failed and went home.
He ruled us for 22 years. We said king, let's king, and got another hand, so that devolved the country.
Yaya Jammeh first seized power in a coup in 1994. And he knows that if he steps down, he will almost certainly face prosecution for alleged human rights abuses, which include imprisonment, torture, and killings. Jammeh is now challenging the election outcome at Gambia's Supreme Court. The problem is, the court doesn't have any judges, so the government will need to hire them. And in the meantime, the country is on edge. Jammeh's security forces have seized control of the Elections Commission's headquarters in the capital, Banjul. And the military is being deployed on the streets of the tiny West African nation. The president-elect Adama Barrow is set to take over next month, leading a coalition of 8 opposition parties. But Jammeh is likely to go to great lengths to ensure that doesn't happen. Christine Pirovalakis, The Newsmakers.
Well, joining me now from Leicester is Momodou Sallah. He's a Gambia affairs expert and a senior lecturer at the Montfort University. Thanks so much for joining us, Momodou. So Yaya Jammeh won't step down. Is this a disaster?
Yeah, I think it's quite serious because the Gambian people have spoken loudly and clearly that they have elected Adama Barrow to be the president of the Gambia. And you have to realize that there has been 22 years in which Yaya Jammeh has been at the head of the government, and there have been many allegations about things that were done that were wrong. And I think it was the environment, the political environment was not conducive for people to speak out, to challenge authority or to do anything that Yaya Jammeh did not agree with. So for the people to muster the courage and to choose to change peacefully through the ballot box, and then started jubilating, and then for President Jammeh to say that I don't actually agree with the will of the people, that I will challenge it, is really quite wrong, and you know, it actually rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah, we were so close because it seemed as if he initially accepted it and then he changed his mind. Now, ECOWAS, the regional body, they said Jammeh must step down next month when his term runs out, and they vowed to, quote, take all necessary action to enforce the results. So let me ask you, Momodou, what can they do?
No, I think there has been a lot of high-level diplomacy. I think there is a bit of like a silk and nail approach. You know, last week or so, you had the president of Liberia, Salif Johnson, Buhari from Nigeria, Kuruma and Matma from Ghana and Sierra Leone. They went to see him and to try to persuade him. But obviously that's not successful. There was an envoy a few days ago from Mauritania, to actually try and persuade him. And I am also told that there are some other high-level people to be sent again to speak to him. So there's been a lot of diplomacy. But the bottom line is that whether it's the African Union or whether it's ECOWAS or the UN, they're quite clear that Jammeh has lost quite clearly and categorically the mandate of the people, and therefore he needs to live in peace. Whether he's going to live in peace or whether he's going to live in pieces, I think that's a bigger question. But there is talk of a military intervention as a last resort. I mean, we hope and pray that it doesn't come to that, but I think there's a very strong united will from both people in the Gambia and the international community to say that Jammeh has lost, and then the constitution of the Gambia is sacrosanct, and it has to be respected as well as the will of the people.
Military intervention from whom?
ECOWAS in their resolution kind of like said that they will use all necessary means to get Yaya Jammeh to concede to the will of the people. I mean, obviously diplomacy is the first port of call, and we hope and pray that it will work. But if that doesn't work, there have been hints that all other options are open, including a military intervention, possibly to be led by Senegal with the support of other West African nations, and possibly with other powers outside of Africa as well.
Yeah, in the past few days, we saw him trying to garner support from within his own military. So even though he lost that election to Barrow, the people overwhelmingly voted for Barrow. Help me understand, just how much support does he have among the losing side, particularly among those who can do harm within the losing side, especially embedded within the military?
I mean, before we talk about the military, I think we need to say that almost every major civil society organization in the Gambia has come out to actually condemn the statement by President Jammeh from the Bar Association, which actually said that his action of annulling the election tantamounts to treason. These are very strong words. So you talk about the teachers' union, the students' union, you talk about the nursing. There's so many organizations and civil society organizations that came out and said, you know what, and you got to realize that this is happening in the Gambia, where these organizations would not have spoken. It would have been unheard of even a year ago to hear them speak. And they're all coming out to say, even religious leaders are coming out to say, you know what, you have to go and you have to respect the will of the people. Now, in terms of the military, I mean, I think that's a bit of an unknown quantity. In some quarters, people believe that the military would actually kind of like remain loyal to Yaya Jammeh, and then if it comes to crunch, they will be on his side. But also some people believe that the military are just following orders now, and when it comes to choosing to follow what can be construed as an unlawful order by shooting on the Gambian people, that they would not do that, and they will choose the side of the people. But whilst all of these things are going on, the coalition led by President-elect Adama Barrow have been clear that Jammeh is constitutionally the president of the Gambia until the 18th of January. Yeah. After the 18th of January, if he doesn't go, as Halifa Sallah, spokesperson for the coalition, said, then he could be construed as a rebel, and anybody who acts on his behalf against the wishes of the people could also be construed as a rebel. So, I mean, the military is a bit of an unknown quantity. So far, the CDS, because initially the Chief of Defense Staff, Usman Baji, apparently called Barrow to congratulate him and said that they will remain loyal to him when he assumes office. But in terms of where we are now, we can only speculate as to where the military would go or not go.
Yeah, and I just wonder, with the benefit of hindsight, if some members of Barrow's party are now regretting what they said in the immediate aftermath of the election. When Jammeh was accepting the results, when they were threatening to imprison him and so on, I wonder if they regret that maybe they just poked his ego a little and maybe he decided to then double down. We'll never know. He's not stepping down as things stand. Hopefully he does and follows the will of the people. Momodou Sallah, good to have you on the program. Hope to have you on the program again in the not too distant future. Thanks for joining us.